President Biden unveiled his most expansive actions in the nation to fight against the coronavirus. His administration is mandating vaccines for 100 million Americans, and that includes some private sector employees, healthcare workers, federal contractors, and federal workers. The move has been met with praise from some doctors and outrage from many Republican lawmakers. Also beginning today, fines will double for travelers refusing to wear masks on flights. Much of the Biden administration's success with its six-pronged COVID plan depends on the cooperation of big businesses. So CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes has the details on all of this.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
With millions of Americans still unvaccinated, President Biden is taking his toughest stance yet. Now, every company with more than 100 employees will have to require workers to either get vaccinated or get tested weekly.
Some of the biggest companies are already requiring this. United Airlines, Disney, Tyson's Food, and even Fox News.
Businesses that don't comply could face a $14,000 fine per violation. The same goes for any medical facility that gets reimbursed by Medicare and Medicaid.
If you're seeking care at a health facility, you should be able to know that the people treating you are vaccinated. Simple.
Since this summer, when the president declared independence from the virus,
it no longer controls our lives.
Cases have skyrocketed from about 12,000 per day to more than 100,000. But some unions are already balking at the new mandates, one saying the government should trust its employees to make their own medical decision under consultation with their doctor. Some Republican governors and lawmakers called the president's move unconstitutional, and the Republican National Committee is already vowing to sue. Meanwhile, Los Angeles County, the nation's second largest school district, voted Thursday to mandate vaccines for students age 12 and up. Biden had his harshest words yet Thursday for Republican governors in states like Florida and Texas, who have tried to block mask mandates in schools.
If these governors won't help us beat the pandemic, I'll use my power as president to get them out of the way.
So Nancy is with us now from the White House to discuss the president's strategy. Nancy, vaccine mandates, that's something that the Biden administration had actually been quite reluctant to impose in the past. What has changed now?
Hey, Anne-Marie. Well, they always felt that they would probably run into legal trouble if they tried to impose a blanket vaccine mandate. And so that was something that they always avoided. But now it appears that they have found something of a workaround, an OSHA rule from the Department of Labor. This is the division of the Department of Labor that governs workplace safety, issues all kinds of rules to protect workers. A rule will be written up that will say that any business that has more than 100 employees will have to make sure that its workers are either vaccinated, and this is important, this is why the White House says it is not a mandate, because those workers could also opt to get tested regularly instead. And frankly, this is something that some industries have said they'd actually like some cover from the government on, that they were interested in imposing a requirement for their workforce, but they would like a little backup from the federal government. So in some cases, there are business owners who actually say that they're glad to see this from the federal government.
And can you talk a little bit more about some of the other components of this when it comes to healthcare workers and also beefing up fines for people who want to travel but don't want to wear masks?
Sure, absolutely. So there's a new TSA rule that is going into effect today. It is doubling the fines for anyone who is traveling and refuses to wear a mask. So as the president put it yesterday, you should be prepared to pay if you don't wear a mask. He added, have some respect for the flight attendants who are trying to keep you safe in the skies. Healthcare workers, another example of the Biden administration now trying to use every lever at its disposal to get people vaccinated if they have any kind of connection with the federal government when it comes to their workplace. So this rule is basically saying that anyone who works in any kind of health care facility, large or small, could be home health care, but if they get reimbursed by the federal government via Medicare or Medicaid, they too will either need to get vaccinated or submit to weekly testing.
Vaccine requirements are not new in this country, but whenever there's a vaccine requirement, there's also pushback. I read a really interesting article in the New York Times where they talked about the introduction of the smallpox vaccine at the turn of the century and how some parents were sort of faking the smallpox scars on their children's arms in order to get them into the schools without having to get the vaccine. I'm curious about how businesses and politicians are reacting. We heard a number of GOP politicians come out straight away and be very critical, and whether or not there could be legal challenges.
You know, there have been a number of Republican politicians who have called this unconstitutional. Right-wing media going even further, calling it tyranny or authoritarianism for this White House to be trying to get people vaccinated. Of course, schools and businesses have required testing for drugs and for other problems, and have required vaccines for many, many decades. And the White House argues that this is not much different from that. But there is the possibility that they could face legal challenges, and we'll have to see how that winds its way through the courts. In other cases where there have been businesses that have required people to get vaccinated, and individuals have challenged those businesses in court, they tend to have lost. But this is a different animal. We're talking about the federal government. So there's no question that we're going to see legal challenges, but the federal government is plowing ahead. They are finishing up crafting this OSHA rule over the next couple of weeks, and then they will issue it to businesses around the country who will most likely have some time to allow their workers to get vaccinated. Obviously, people if they have to get 2 shots, it can take a month and a half all told. So there probably will be some kind of grace period. So in reality, even though time is of the essence here, the impact of these new rules may not really be felt for a couple of months.
As we know, the First Lady is a teacher, and the President and the First Lady are going to be actually visiting a school today. And the President really lashed out at governors who are trying to block mask mandates in schools. What did he have to say?
He said they're basically standing in the way of health and safety, and that they are letting their own constituents down. He really went after them, and he promised teachers and school administrators in states like Florida and Texas in particular, where the governors have threatened to withhold school funding and pay if those administrators try to cross them and actually do go ahead and impose mask mandates in their schools or school districts. What the president promised in his speech yesterday was that the federal government would step in and make them whole, would provide that funding, would provide that teacher pay if those governors did in fact make good on their threats and try to take that money away.
All right. Nancy Cordes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.